Welcome back to NFL Kings. Thank you all for joining us today as we break down the Week 9 matchups for the NFL season. The first game we're going to start with is going to be the game between the Denver Broncos and the Atlanta Falcons, being played in Atlanta in a dome, where weather will not be a factor. The current spread is as Atlanta -4 and the over-under at 50. They give the Atlanta Falcons a 63% chance to win this game. Noticing some of the... We'll start to break down some of the other numbers. But for starters, we want to first take a look at some of the injuries for this particular game. It does appear that the only true major injuries that we will see for this particular game, the Denver Broncos will be without A.J. Bouye in this matchup. Pretty significant loss, forcing Ojemudia to most likely be matched up with either Calvin Ridley or Julio Jones. Actually, will probably be matched up with him quite often. Julio Jones should have a pretty solid day, and I would expect a little bit more of a higher scoring game. Bryce Callahan is coming off a little bit of an ankle injury as well, so he may be a little bit limited, as well as Lindsey not practicing fully all week either. So that could be another potential limit for the Denver Broncos, as they are a little bit more of a hurting team. And then looking at the Atlanta Falcons injuries, we have, not too much. Ridley did not practice again Friday, and we still don't have confirmation that he is going to play, but the early reports were that he was going to play. Being without Takk McKinley and Dante Fowler Jr., I do not expect their pass rush to be... I expect it to be a slight downgrade for their pass rush. Grady Jarrett will have to have a great day if they want to put pressure on Drew Lock. I expect Drew Lock to have a very, very good day passing, and we'll go over the numbers as to why that is right now. So if we look over at the numbers, obviously we have a very similar ranking for both teams. We have it at 20 for the Denver Broncos and 18 for the Atlanta Falcons, with time of possession very much skewed toward the Atlanta Falcons currently, as the last three games under the new coaching staff of Raheem have pretty much controlled the game around almost 36 minutes a game in the last three, which is a really big number, considering Denver's usually right around 30 mark and really kind of struggles on third down. As you can kind of see, their offense, right around 36% is a pretty low number in comparison to the rest of the league, as you can kind of tell. They're not a great team on third down. You look at Atlanta, however, they are one of the better teams on third down at 43 and 47 in their last three. They've been quite impressive, actually, on third down. And we look at, keep going to red zone percentage. You'll notice right around 50%, 57% for Denver. Neither of these teams are very good in the red zone. Some of the I would say middle of the pack teams, slightly below middle of the pack, as well as, however, defensively, Denver is one of the best red zone defenses in the league, and unfortunately for Atlanta, they are one of the worst red zone defenses. So I do expect Drew Lock and the Denver Broncos, who have a struggling red zone offense overall, to put up some touchdowns in this game and not be held for field goals. That is one of the reasons why, although the over at 50 and Denver's only hit 3 out of their last, I believe, 73 games when the over has been at 50, it is, however, this particular game should be a higher scoring game. The 50 number is definitely achievable, so that stat can be a little bit misleading, just because of, as we can see, the defensive efficiency for the Atlanta Falcons very, very much below league average, especially when it comes to their passing defense. They are one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL. And if you'll notice here, so we have 112.9 and 108.6. Let's see for the Falcons. Very similar rushing teams. However, obviously the passing stats should be skewed toward Atlanta, not only playing in a dome, but obviously just their passing attack itself is one of the better passing attacks in the NFL. Some of those stats can be a little bit skewed because they have been behind in quite a few games and had to throw quite a bit in those games, especially considering how bad their defense is. Obviously, they've given up 323.8 through the air, which is obviously horrendous. That is one of the worst in the NFL. Just barely, not quite as bad as the Seattle Seahawks at 366.4, which is just atrocious. But they obviously don't give up more than like 100 yards rushing a game. So some of that has to do with the fact that teams are just throwing on them. Their secondary is a little bit putrid overall. However, in the last few games, they have been playing better. So that is something to keep in mind. However, as we stated earlier, those 2 injuries to their pass rushers could be a pretty big hindrance, considering Denver is coming into this game fairly healthy along the offensive line and has played pretty well along the offensive line as well. So just some minor things to also take into account. We're looking at their points per game. Very, very similar. Obviously, you'll see a little bit more of a discrepancy here. So Denver being right around 5 for themselves. They are right at, I almost would expect this game to be like a 28-21 game. And with Denver getting those points, that's going to be very close. It could be a 24-21 game. Could be a 28-24 game, right? So that's why I think the spread is right on. I think they have it set really good, and I think this is going to be a little bit more of a stay-away game for us. We personally have the Broncos teaser plus 10. If you could get it for 10.5, that'd be great. That's what I actually had it at. I did take one with that. And the Falcons, we do actually have the Falcons winning this game just barely over the Denver Broncos. With that 63%, I believe that's a little bit high based upon the numbers that we just looked at. That Falcons secondary is absolutely atrocious. Drew Lock did look a lot better, especially in the second half of that game. I do expect him to have a pretty decent game overall and could be a potential fantasy sleeper for tournament lineups that are looking to put in some low ownership lineups. So just kind of looking at the final numbers after kind of taking a look at it, I definitely see that Atlanta is slightly the better team overall, but at least on paper, statistically, however, that definitely will not necessarily be how this game transpires. Looking at the actual matchups themselves, looking at a pretty solid offensive line and just overall weapons obviously being there. The running game hasn't been elite for the Atlanta Falcons at all. And Gurley did look a little bit like he tweaked something maybe last game. He did come out for quite a few plays last game. So just some things to keep in mind. Denver also has a very good rush defense, although they will be without Shelby Harris, most likely, depending upon how the COVID protocol goes for him. But yeah, it seems like the big questions are going to be, can Ojemudia match up with Julio? Will they double team him a lot? Will they ride a safety over top of him? Personally, I actually expect Julio to have a pretty solid day. I expect this game to be a pretty high-scoring game, as we do project right around a 28-24 Falcons victory. That is going to be a very difficult game to project, and I honestly would recommend staying away from this game for the most part. It just looks like it is going to be a little bit too much variance, especially with the way Drew Lock has played pretty much all season. Currently grading out as one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. However, he does have a lot of weapons on the outside, and they do look a lot healthier than they have been in previous weeks, and so that could definitely play a factor. Denver is playing without their starting right guard as well, so that could also play a role, knowing that Grady Jarrett up front. Denver does have currently the worst center in football, as well as a backup right guard. That could be a matchup for Grady Jarrett. Something to keep in mind, something to look at. Will be that matchup up front. So those are some things to kind of keep in mind with this game. I'm gonna have to move on to the next game. So keep things moving. We are going to talk about the Seattle Seahawks versus at the Buffalo Bills. This game is currently projected at -3 for Seattle and an over/under at 55, which I believe is the highest of the weekend, it looks like, which is pretty understandable after we look at the numbers. It makes actually quite a bit of sense, especially when you're talking about one of the worst pass defenses in football. It has been a major problem for them. So a lot to think about there. The starting off, we're going to take a look at that injury report. Looking at Buffalo's injury report, it's a little bit bigger. We have, I'd say, Josh Norman being a pretty decent loss. I'd say their defense overall, they're missing some people up front. The loss of Vernon Butler. We'll see. They don't have their center either. They might be without 3 of their starting offensive linemen. It could be a tough day for the Buffalo Bills. We'll see how that kind of plays itself. Seattle coming in fairly healthy. Obviously, they're coming off a bye, which always obviously favors the bye team. Chris Carson could practice Friday too, so I do expect him to play. However, they will be without their one of their starting corners as well as one of their starting guards. They are hurting a little bit, but not nearly, I believe, as much as the Buffalo Bills. And just looking at the matchups up front, Buffalo does have a really good offensive line. Diggs should eat really good today. I mean, Dunbar's played pretty solid, but I expect Diggs to have a really solid day, especially when they. Jamal Adams is expected to come back. They do run an 8-man box a lot, and they do blitz a lot. So Diggs should have one-on-one coverage quite a bit. That could be a very, very intriguing matchup overall. Looking at the opposite side of the ball, obviously Russell Wilson has just been tearing it up. The corners for Buffalo are actually not playing bad. It's really more about their rush defense. It's been absolutely atrocious. The overall defense as well is just giving up way too many big plays. And we're just looking at the numbers now. So obviously they project Seattle, but only at a 55% to win, which is really interesting if you compare that obviously to the Falcons Broncos, where they put it that at 63. I think that's an insane number. That 63 is an insane number, folks. Like, that's crazy to me. A team that's identical. I mean, we have it at 18 and 20. We have it at 18 and 20. I mean, those teams are literally identical. And then when you look at this matchup of the Seahawks and Bills, we have it at 5 and 10. That's a much bigger variance in our opinion. Really surprised that they have it at such a, the numbers don't bear it out. I'll just be honest, folks. Seahawks are a significantly better team on paper, and the numbers will bear that out. Looking at the time of possession, however, both teams really struggle with that. Looking at the offensive efficiency numbers, we're looking at their Seattle's third down percentage at 39%. Not great, but not atrocious. Kind of in the middle of the pack. Bills on the season has been good, but lately 38%, and really the last they've really kind of struggled on third down lately, and that's one of the reasons why they have lost so many games. And then obviously you're talking about the most efficient red zone offense in the league, and the Bills are just more or less in the middle of the pack. That's that could be a very key stat in this game. Especially when you look at the red zone defensive efficiency numbers, they're pretty much the worst around. The Seahawks, that is. However, whoops, this is supposed to say home. That is not good. That's a mess up on a lot of sheets. I'm going to have to fix that. But anyway, it's their home red zone defense. So they're actually at 45. Okay, so Bills are give up around 45%, which is actually very good numbers. That's more like a bend but don't break type defense. They've actually been able to hold teams to field goals on a higher percentage than I would even expect. That obviously there was their last three, and 62.5 for the season is not great. So, they've done okay job in the last three of holding teams to field goals. I think a little bit of that has to do with who they played combined with just pure weather factors. They've played in some kind of ugly weather games lately, just kind of forcing teams a little bit to be limited offensively. Third down percentage, that's really interesting. Very, very similar numbers. Not going to be too much there. So their third down defense, 50% is a big problem, though. I would be shocked if the Bills are able to get off the field on third down. I actually expect the Seahawks to be closer to this number just because of the return of Jamal Adams and their overall effectiveness to be closer to the 40% number, which obviously that all the leads towards Seattle. You combine that with the numbers. They're a better rushing team. They're a better passing team. They're literally a better defensive team. I mean, there's literally very few, if not no numbers that really help to say that like Buffalo should win this game. Like there's really no numbers that really say that Buffalo should win this game. They should lose this game. They should lose this game by potentially a touchdown. 34-28, that's pretty much 34-21 or 24. Like that's probably it. I expect the Bills to be right there, 24-28, maybe 31. It is going to be a nice weather day, so that could definitely add a little bit to that point total. The obviously point minus 0.1 and a 5.9 differential, like that's kind of a big deal. 9.4 to minus 3.6. I mean, guys, that's kind of a big deal, right? So really looking at the numbers, yards per play, almost a full yard more. I mean, everything really, really favors the Seattle Seahawks. And then I'm going to give you a few bombs here. There's some interesting stats to go with this game as well, as Russell Wilson is 10-0 straight up and 8-1-1 against the spread in his last 10 games against games on the East Coast. So he definitely does not mind traveling the East Coast. Seahawks are 13-5-1 against the spread their last 19 road games. Seahawks are also 7-3-1 against the spread their last 11 as a favorite. And also the Bills are 3-8 their last 11 as a home underdog. Bills are also 0-3-1 their last 4 against the spread as an underdog, and they're also 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games. So definitely trending the opposite way for the Bills. Seahawks trending up, played really well last week. Really everything definitely favors the Seahawks. I like Seahawks money line. I like Seahawks -3. I like Seahawks teaser +3. Even maybe Seahawks 1-13 card could be interesting here. So a lot to look at there. Seahawks is definitely one of our better picks of the week. So we have that. We're going to move on to the Ravens-Colts game, of which kind of looking at the basic stuff. The lines moved from -3 all the way to -3 for the Baltimore, all the way to -1 for the Colts. A lot of that has to do with injuries. They didn't know whether or not the COVID, like whether they were going to even be able to field like half their defense going into the week, but they just released 6 guys from the COVID protocol. So it looks like Marlon Humphrey, I believe, is pretty much the only guy that's not going to play out of that kind of group. Going to look at, just looking at all the injuries right now. So starting with Baltimore, we're looking at Jimmy Smith did not practice Friday, so that's a big question. And obviously Marlon Humphrey being out, that could be a big factor in this game. Is I believe T.Y. Hilton's out as well, though. So going against Phillip Rivers, that. Not exactly like an elite quarterback, but he's looked pretty solid and he can move the ball. And if he plays, an A game, I would say the Colts are probably pretty good favorite to win. If you play as a B or a C game, I'd say the Ravens are a huge favorite to win. Like, he throws a pick in this game, like I'm considering his interception probably. He's just that inconsistent. You really can't trust Phillip Rivers, and so that's why that one's going to be tough. Obviously no T.Y. Hilton. The field's going to shrink a little bit. I expect them to even be able to potentially squat on the routes. But there's some glaring stats that we're going to look at with the Ravens that are really a little bit scary for this particular game. So obviously Colts have taken the favorite. It's at 48 right now, which could be a little bit low, but it does seem to be about right. They have it actually as a 60-40 win for the Ravens, and you'll notice that number. That's really interesting. Obviously, that's based upon they don't obviously know all the injury factors, and they're not able to take into account some of that stuff. That's usually purely based upon statistics. And you look at the numbers. It's, they're almost identical yards per play. We have it as Baltimore being a slightly higher ranked team. Time of possession should be very, very similar. We do slightly favor that to the Ravens. Should be able to control the ball a little bit more. However, third down percentage, not bad, 45%. And it's a very similar numbers for both teams, honestly, as far as what I expect there. Red zone percentage definitely should favor. Wow, actually the last three. Yeah, some of that's a little bit misleading. Colts have had like the easiest schedule to date. They've basically played no difficult games. I'm not even kidding. They've had no elite teams. This is the first game against an elite team. This is one of the reasons why I do like the Ravens. We're going to see if the Colts are actually any good in this game. They're playing a hobbled Ravens team, obviously without Stanley as well. There's no left tackle. They're definitely have some, question marks, but come on, let's be honest, guys. That's still the Baltimore Ravens. They are the better team. The statistics definitely bear it out. Their third down defense, 24.32%. That's so elite, folks. Compared to, that's supposed to say, these are supposed to say home. Why did I not fix that? I don't know. That's kind of frustrating, though. I was supposed to do that last night. Okay. Sorry, I need to fix that. That's just, it's so wrong. Like, these are the home team ones. Like, why the heck is that not listed as home? I don't really understand. Okay. So, yeah, they're not nearly as good defensively as, the statistics early kind of bear it out, like yards wise. Like, you'd think, oh, okay, they're really good, right? Offensively, you look at these numbers, but like defensively, right? 79.9. You think, oh yeah, they're great against the run. Really, guys, they played nobody. Nobody. And when Cincinnati played them, they ran all over them. They controlled the game completely, and that's what I expect Baltimore to do. I absolutely expect Baltimore to be able to control the clock, control the game, keep the ball for most of this game. I expect at least a 33%, a 33-minute time of possession number for Baltimore. That is the reason why we are taking Baltimore to win this game outright, not just against. I understand the numbers moved, folks, but I still have Baltimore winning this game. For me, though, it has moved to more of a stay-away game. I'm not putting much stock or faith in it, but the numbers definitely favor. I mean, look at the numbers right here, right? These are identical. These teams are very similar, right? 29 and 18, 28 and 19. They're very, very similar statistically, but you kind of dive deeper into some of these numbers, and then you also take into account who the Ravens have played and who the Colts have played. Colts have played nobody. Ravens have had one of the hardest schedules in the league. So, yeah, it's honestly, I don't even think it's really going to be that close. If the Ravens were healthy, I think it would be a blowout. So that's really just a matter of, the injury factor kind of creeping up a little bit. Being that it's going to play in a dome, I don't know how they're going to catch Lamar Jackson. I honestly don't. I am taking his rushing prop. I know Leonard might be able to hold him down a little bit, but no. No. They're not stopping Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry. They're just not. So we're gonna go to Texans and Jaguars. So yeah, as I said, got Ravens money line and Ravens teaser 7.5. Those are pretty much the only things I'd recommend there. And honestly, we put this as a stay away game. So we'll move quickly down the list to the Texans and the Jaguars, and kind of looking at some of the basic numbers. Obviously, Houston's right now at -7, and 50.5 is the over. They have it as a near 69% chance to win, which is one of the highest of the weekends. And honestly, I could even put it even higher than that. The fact that it's only at 7 is really a little bit shocking to me. I think the wind factor could be a reason why that over does not hit, as well as potential rain. There's pretty good potential rain. It's probably the highest, one of the highest of the weekend. You look at the yards per play, they're obviously a significantly better offense than the freaking Jacksonville Jaguars. And 4.8 is more realistic of what to expect from this game, obviously going with the backup quarterback. I do expect them to struggle. This was a lot closer to when they had Minshew. I would expect it to be closer to that number. I expected it closer to like a 4.5 number, honestly, here. And you look at the ranking, obviously, we definitely favor the Texans there. This is a really interesting factor in this game, though, right? You're talking about a team that neither team can control the ball. However, Texans' last 3 have been better. That's with the new coaching staff, a little bit more of a defensive-minded head coach, right? They're going to look to run the ball a little bit more and things like that, and just control the clock a little bit more. And you'll notice their down percentage are very similar for both these teams. Defense, red zone percentage, middle of the pack. Nothing to write home about for either team. They're very, very similar in that way. Red zone defense, actually, the Jags have a pretty good red zone defense. The red zone offense, and actually both teams are really not that bad when it comes to red zone defense, as well as defense on third down. Like, they actually have been playing pretty decently lately. They're really more bend but don't break type defenses. They both obviously give up a crap ton of yards. Neither team can run the ball at all, and they're going against like 2 of the worst rush defenses in the league. So that we'll see how that plays out. That'll be kind of an interesting factor in this game. Let's see, we're looking at, obviously, you would expect Deshaun to be above the Jags. That 265 number is a scary high number. There's no way it's 265. It's really more like probably 220. I would say that's probably more realistic of what to expect. Maybe 236. I would say, who would you take? Drew Lock going against the Falcons, or the Jags with a backup quarterback? I mean, Texans pass defense is not great, but it's not that bad. And I'll show you that here. I mean, it's really not. It's the rush defense is freaking atrocious, but like 266, like that's not bad. 285, it's a little bad for the Jags. But really, it's about the rush defense. I mean, that's like the worst in the league, basically, and one of the worst in the league, right? So that's going to be kind of leaning toward a higher scoring game. The teams are going to probably try to keep the ball on the ground, especially if it is raining and with those high wind advisories. Looking for more of the short passing game, things like that. The 23-31 and 22-31, like, these teams are, I'm not even kidding, they are identical teams. Statistically, they're very, very similar teams. Like, you could see it. The stats bear it out. I think the biggest factor in this game is you're talking about a backup quarterback and Deshaun Watson. Like, who are you taking? Are you taking a backup quarterback in high winds, or are you taking Deshaun Watson? I think that's really... Not really sure how I did that, but don't want to mess up those numbers. Okay, so that's why we are leaning toward the Texans. Just because of, obviously, that is a huge factor. I actually just realized I did not cover injuries for this particular game. I better do that real quick. Just looking at it, we have pretty much nothing from Houston. They're pretty healthy right now, and the Jags, unfortunately, are without their quarterback. So I'd say that those are the kind of the 2 big the two big injuries in that game, and why you would definitely lean toward the Texans. And we have it as one of our top picks of the week. Best bets. I have Texans. Ideally, I got it at 6.5, so I could bet this. So I basically just have the Texans to win. I am worried about a potential blowout, so I didn't recommend the one for 13 bet, but that's kind of where we're leaning as our best bets. If the Texans can't be the hobbled Jaguars team, wow, that'd be pretty scary to think about. So that's one of the better bets that we have for the weekend. Moving on, so got the Panthers and Chiefs, where we favor the Chiefs, obviously, as does the rest of this world, considering that the Chiefs are the number one team on our board. Do have it at an 84% chance for them to win, a spread of 10.5. I believe I got it at 7.5, which is, I think, crazy to me. I believe on Monday, that's what it was. Winds, pretty significant at 60 miles an hour. That is a legitimate wind concern. Let's actually just real quick run through the injuries for this game. Looking at the Carolina Panthers, I did hear potential for Russell Okung is out. Missing your left tackle, not good, obviously. Going against some decent pass rushers, nothing to write home about there. The overall, I believe too that we're hearing that Christian McCaffrey is returning as well, so that could play a factor in this game. Gonna take a look here, make sure that is the case, but from what I'm told, he is going to play in this game. Yeah, he is going to play in this game, so that could be a factor. They may lean on him a little too much. The left side of this offensive line, though, is going to be a problem. I do expect Chris Jones to have a pretty good day as well. We'll kind of see how this defense kind of plays out overall. Looking at the numbers, we have something that could play a factor in this game right here. Time of possession. Chiefs are only at 27. Some of that's a little skewed, but that could play a factor in this game. Carolina is going to try to keep the Chiefs off the field. The big question is going to be on third down. Here's the thing, right? Chiefs not been doing well on third down. They've been trying to do too many big plays. That is one of the lowest numbers in the league at 35% basically for the last three. That is not good. That's one of the reasons why they lost to the Raiders. And that could play a factor in this game. It really absolutely could. Could also be a look ahead type game. Here we're looking at a team that's right around 50%. That's one of the highest in the league. This is a team that does convert well on third down. They do run a Sean Payton style offense, a little bit more of the short passing game. Like to run the ball a lot. They like to control the clock, and they like to keep the other offense off the field. And that's could absolutely play a huge factor in this game, especially keeping the over number a little bit lower than maybe early projections. If the Chiefs can hop on them early, I expect a blowout. However, if the Carolina Panthers can keep it close, you'll notice, red zone percentage, not great. So that could be another factor. They do need to score touchdowns in this game. And you're going against a red zone defense. It's actually very good red zone defense for the Chiefs. They are more of a bend but no break type defense. They give it more field goals, are able to kind of hold teams out of the end zone, but teams are able to rack up yards on them. I don't know why I keep doing that. And just noticing it, finishing at the numbers, we're looking at a team that's around 110 to 124. They run the ball really well, and they're going against one of the worst rush defenses. I'm telling you, folks, this time of possession thing is definitely going to play a key factor in this game, and a lot of people like the Chiefs in this game, but this is a scary game. And I do have the Chiefs winning the game, but I am very much scared of this game. I do have Carolina on the opposite side as well, via the teaser for this exact reason. This is kind of where the numbers also bear out too. This is not a bad football team. You're talking about a team that scores 22 a game, right? 22 a game. 22 a game for giving up 24. You know, it's like not horrendous, not good, but it's not really that bad, right? The numbers break it out, minus 1.7 compared to the 12.6, but, you know, obviously you don't want to be in the negative, but at the same time, they're not like horrendous, and some of that is a little bit skewed a little bit, but, you know, Panthers roster, like, don't get me wrong, Panthers do not have a great roster overall, you know, but they do have great coaches, and that can always play a factor, especially offensively. So we'll see if they're able to kind of control the clock and stuff. I do expect the Chiefs to win this game. We do have it as the Chiefs money line, Chiefs minus 10.5, but I do really like the Panthers teaser. If you can find it for a 17.5 number, hop all over that. I do not see the Chiefs winning by 3 touchdowns. I don't think there's any chance in hell they win by 3 touchdowns outside of like 2+ turnover margin. You know, if the Panthers just lose the turnover battle by 2 or more, there's literally no chance that they can win the game. But if it goes the other way, I would say the Chiefs actually are, that could be a scary game for them. So they better not turn the ball over, because I wouldn't be surprised if this game is a little bit, as far as less possessions in that game. So that could be a little bit of a scary factor for the Chiefs. So they'll definitely have to be on their A game. I would say if they do want to be clearing that 10.5. I wouldn't even recommend betting this 10.5. I'm actually going to change this to an italic just for that exact reason. I would not recommend betting that 10.5. That's a scary bet. Adding to the final few games, we got to go with, let's see. So we've got the Lions and Vikings. So we're going to try to blitzkrieg through some of these games. I don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, this week. I did do a little bit more work for you guys as far as giving you guys a little bit more information for this week, for some of our stats that we kind of break down for my company. But like, this is just, I just want to give you guys a little bit more information as to where we kind of get some of those numbers to kind of come through. So I just wanted to kind of break down some of that, and give you guys just a little bit more information as to the matchups. And you just kind of look at the Detroit Lions, and they're just like, oof, man, are they struggling. And without Galladay, I don't think there's a chance in hell they win this game. And I'll be honest, folks, they are not the same team without Kenny Galladay. I can't see me putting a single dime on this game for that exact reason. Combine that with, you know, you got a healthy Minnesota Vikings team for the most part. You've got Dalvin Cook just absolutely went ham. They have it at 72%, which is crazy for a team with a worse record than the Lions. But at the same time, it actually makes quite a bit of sense based upon the matchup and the statistics. Like, the Vikings are a better team than the record, and it kind of bears it out. Obviously, you see, you know, yards per play, they're significantly better. We rank them about 6 spots better. We have time of possession is a little bit weird. I would think that they would be higher, but, you know, and some of this is because of their season long. They were not great early on, but you'll notice it's up to 29 in the last 3, much closer to where I would expect that to be. I do expect them to control this game. You know, against a team that does not control the ball well. They do not convert third downs, not at an elite rate. Neither team really does, you know, 30, 36, 40%. Another team's like in a super elite team in that department. You would say the off red zone efficiency for it definitely favors the Vikings significantly, and that number is probably even more. Like, I would put this probably at around 55-56% probably for this particular game without Galladay. I do not expect them to be efficient in the red zone. And looking at their defense as well, you know, it's a little different because obviously the last 3 they were atrocious. But for the season, Minnesota's rush defense or red zone defense has not been bad at all. It's really been more about their overall defense. It's been bad. That has a lot to do with the fact that their corners are just not that good. So they give up quite a few passing yards, but you'll notice their rushing stats. Let's see, offensively, obviously one of the best rushing attacks with Dalvin Cook, who just played like a man amongst boys last week. But their passing attack's not nearly going to be as good as Detroit's, which is not surprising there. Looking at I do expect like Marvin Jones to have a pretty good day, though. Looking at the defensively, though, obviously they're very similar defensively, but Detroit giving up 130 a game. I mean, they're going to give up that 140, 150 probably. When you give up 130 a game, the team is very likely to hit their rushing number, which is very scary when you're going against a Minnesota Vikings team that needs to run the ball to be successful. But when they do, they control the clock and they can absolutely devastate other teams. So that I think that's going to play a big factor in this game. Obviously differential. These are not good football teams, so they're different. Both their differentials should be in the negative. Yeah, minus. That's actually really bad. Honestly, both these teams are just not that good overall. Gosh, I don't know why he keeps doing that. Okay, so kind of looking at our picks for this game, we do like the Vikings along the money line. That is kind of where we're situated. Vikings minus 4.5. That's not a number I really like. I would actually prefer this bet at the Vikings 1-13. I do expect it to still be a pretty close game. They may clear that 13, so that's why this is really the only safe bet I feel comfortable with. I wouldn't do a teaser either on this game. So that's kind of where we lean. Then we need to quickly move on to the Bears and Titans, which they obviously favor at 62%, which is a pretty decent number, and the Titans at minus 6.5. As well as a beautiful day, one of the nicer weather games on the day. Do expect this is a really interesting. Like, this is not good. Like, that's one of the lowest yards per play I've ever seen, going against basically the best team in yards per play. Like, that's not good. Bears offensively is just horrendous. We have it at 17 versus an 8. Top 10 matchup. This is where the Titans have just been absolutely horrible. They are one of the worst third down teams. Like, look at this third down percentage. Like, what are you doing, Ryan Tannehill? How are you that bad on third down that you're at 35%? Like, that's so freaking horrible for a team with that many wins. That's so bad. That's so bad. Like, what are you guys doing on third down? Like, honestly, I blame the offensive coordinator. Like, that's just horrible offensive coaching. To be that bad when you are averaging 7 yards a play, like, that's so bad. Like, do you guys even know how to call plays on third down? I don't think you do, apparently, because you're going to get probably crushed again by a team that's really not that great on third down, but good enough. 50%, 45%, yeah. They're going to absolutely crush you guys on third down. Because guess what? You guys have no freaking third down defense either. You're the worst third down defense I've ever freaking seen, right? And your offense is just so bad on third down and red zone. Like, what the frick, guys? What are they even doing, dude? They're so, like, Titans statistically are one of the worst statistical teams I've ever seen. Like, their record does not bear out how bad they are statistically. Like, their defense is one of the worst I've seen in a while. Statistically, it's horrible. Freaking horrible. I mean, look at this, dude. Look at this. 155.6 they're averaging. So you think, oh, yeah, they should be dominating games. You're averaging 160 yards rushing a game. You're awesome, right? 85, and you're going against a team that only averages 85 rushing a game. Like, you should destroy them, right? Well, no. Unfortunately, because of all those other numbers, no. And this is why, right here. You're giving up 277 in the air. 128. Like, seriously? 128? Like, they're giving up 130 yards on the ground and 280 in the air. That's an insane number, dude. Over 400 yards a game. That's one of the worst in the league. They can't stop a freaking nosebleed, dude. And you look at it, too. Like, makes no sense, right? The Bears are, like, identical. Like, they give up and score, which is why most of their games, like, right around 20. It's like, Um, Titans obviously are going to score quite a bit. 26 is horrendous, though, obviously, defensively. But they don't, like, give up, like, a crap ton of touchdowns. Like, they're not really bad, as you saw, red zone defense. Like, they're really not that bad, red zone defense. It's just they can't get off the field on third down. Like, their third down defense and their own third down offense. Like, how could you be that bad at both? Like, you'd think one or the other you'd kind of be decent at, right? Like, crazy. That's one of the reasons, yes, I like the Titans here, but it's, as you'll notice, all italicized because there's no way in heck I feel comfortable betting this game. Like, there's no way. The way that they get controlled, like, even against bad offenses, dude, like, I worry about them. Like, that's crazy to think about. But yeah, this is more of a stay away game at this point. I liked it early in the week, but really after breaking down the numbers, it's just too scary. Too scary for us. So we're going to move on super quickly. We don't have a lot of time, although I did want to do a quick double check on those injuries. I don't believe there was anything too crazy. Clowney, maybe. Okay. Speaking, yeah, no, nothing really too important for Tennessee. And Chicago, I don't believe there was anything too major. Yeah, other than Trubisky. Jenkins, yeah, nothing really important. Okay, so yeah, injuries won't be a factor in that game. Okay, so looking at the few more, we got the next game is last of the morning games. I have the Giants and Washington. Another, we're not going to spend a lot of time. These are two horrible football teams. They do have it at 65%. It is a nice weather game. The Giants looked kind of decent last week, so that's why people kind of put money on the Giants. But look at that. Yards per play, these are like the worst teams in the league, 28, 29. Neither team can stay on the field. Right? You'd say, okay, lean toward. It's like, okay. I mean, it makes sense. They lean toward Washington. They're at home, obviously. But just because of time of possession, I do expect them to kind of control the clock in this game. God, dude, this is getting really annoying. All right, 42%, 38. Yeah, numbers pretty similar. Away, yeah, they're just not good, unfortunately. Like, they're not good defensively. I want to see if there's nothing really that stands out. They are a little bit better defensively than I expected. Actually, both these teams are very solid defensively, which is why this game is probably going to be another low scoring game, which is what it was, I believe, last time. I think it was a 3-point game, which is kind of where I have it. Like, if you can get a touchdown on either side, you're probably looking pretty good. I'd be shocked if this game was more than a touchdown from either side. This is just two evenly matched bad football teams. I mean, they literally statistically, they almost match up identically. Looking at the numbers, rushing almost identical, 100. Passing, they're barely over 200. Both of them are horrendous. Defensively, they're very solid. Both teams, you'd say, okay, Giants pass defense not quite as good, but the rush defense is a little better. Washington's rush defense is not quite as good, but their pass defense is very good. 207.9, that's extremely good. That's one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league. So that's very impressive, actually, that they have such a good pass defense, which could force, Danny Dimes to maybe hit his rushing prop. But you'll notice, like, obviously some of the highest minus totals of the week, 6.8 minus 4.8, 4.6. Like, that's just so bad. Numbers clearly bear out that Washington should win this game. But these are two bad football teams, and really, when you're talking about bad football teams, who the heck knows who's going to show up? And a lot of people do like the Giants plus like 8.5 and stuff. I think that's what I did. Yeah, this teaser's like not bad. Like, that's not a bad teaser. I'd take that. But yeah, as you say, like, it's a complete pass game. Giants plus 2.5. I'd pass on that, actually. I might even just take that down. It's just too hard to predict who's going to win that game, even though Washington, I would say the numbers lean toward Washington. Let me see. I think I might have skipped something. Hold on one sec. Yeah, shoot. So there was a couple things I wanted to note for that Vikings game. Vikings against teams with a losing record, 19-9-1 in their last 29 games. Lions are 4-9-2 in their last 15 in Minnesota, and Lions are also 0-5 against the spread in the last 5 meetings between the two teams. So just some more kind of nuggets that really favor why we like the Vikings here. One of our better bets of the weekend. So wanted to cover that real quick. Another thing for the Raiders Chargers. So we're gonna one of our other games we really like this week. That 205. They have it at a pick'em right now. I think it's been bet from like 2.5. I think the Chargers were favored by 3, which is pretty standard for a home team. Early on, they have it at 50, like near pick'em. Statistically, that wind could play a factor at 18 miles an hour and a 10% chance of rain. Definitely could play a factor, so some stuff to keep in mind. I'm going to really quickly run over the injury news for these teams. Looking at the Vegas Raiders who could be without Mullen. That could be interesting. Could be without their left tackle in Colton Miller. That could be tough. Jacobs is nursing a knee and an illness. That's interesting. Not good. Arden Keen Hurst. That's nothing. Let's see. Chargers could be without Trey Turner. Casey Hayward is questionable. That's scary. Joey Bosa is doubtful. That's big, folks. Now I actually really like the Raiders even more. I did not even know Bosa was going to be out. That's huge. That's huge for this game. That's literally they are not going to be able to get a pass rush. Okay, so I like the Raiders actually even more. They're going to control the clock. They're not going to be able to. The Chargers could potentially control this game as well, but here's the thing. Like the Raiders' defense is not as bad as people think. So if you look at, I'm going to keep going over real quick just so I can get to that number. Their down defense. Their down defense for them. Look at that, 44. 37. Actually, they're both really good defensively on third down. That's really interesting. Actually, decently touchdown, though. That's not good. The Raiders do give up more touchdowns, as opposed to the Chargers actually have a very good red zone defense as well. So that's a little bit scary, actually. The numbers don't bear out that Las Vegas is going to be able to convert on third down. They may not be able to convert on third down. That actually might favor the Chargers, although without Bosa, is that stat really real? That's kind of the question you have to kind of think about, right? It's because obviously statistically very similar here. They're very similar rushing and passing. Obviously favors Herbert. Herbert's a little bit better, and not having the deep ball as well. Gosh, this game is actually a little bit scarier than I thought. Really, when you look at the numbers, it's super, super sketch. Super, super sketch. And, oops. Why does it keep doing that? Literally just trying to scroll over so I can get to the final numbers. Okay. 0.3 minus 3. Wow, I didn't even realize these teams are both in the negative, which is not good. That's bad football teams. Like bad football teams are in the negative, dude. Like that's not good and very scary to the overall production of that team. I actually think the Raiders are going to miss the playoffs now. There's no way you're going to make the playoffs with a negative point differential. Like not a chance. There's no chance they make the playoffs with a negative point differential. So that's got to change. Let's see. So, I do have to hit some of these nuggets though. There's a few reasons why we do still like the Raiders to win this game. So Raiders are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 road games. They are 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 against the AFC West. The road team in this matchup is 8-3 against the spread in the last 11 meetings. Chargers they also allowed 6.8 yards per carry last week to Denver, who's not, as you saw, the greatest rush defense. I think their rush offense, they're like 110. They're nothing special. Chargers are 1-7-1 against the spread the last 9 as a home favorite, and 1-6-1 against the spread the last 8 against the AFC West. Like that, those are some scary stats. Like, and that's some other reasons why we really like the Raiders. I really like the teaser if you can get it for the 8.5. We'll see what it's actually at. Whatever line you can actually get, it might still be a pick 'em. It might be Raiders minus +1. If you're paying points on the Raiders, I would 100% stay away from the game. So definitely, Raiders money line. Obviously, you can do that pick if you, just in general, or maybe even a Raiders 1-13 bet if you want to make a card like that. But for the most part, it could be a little bit more of a stay away than I was originally planning, just because of some of the numbers that really don't bear out as well as I was hoping. And then you look at the Dolphins and Cardinals. Scary, scary game. This is another, actually, I had that as a plus. I'm changing that to a stay away game, and there's a big reason why. All right, so when you look at the Dolphins Cardinals, obviously 4.5, that's a pretty big number for a Dolphins team that's actually pretty good too. Southwest 65, so pretty good weather. They do, however, rate it as a 70% chance. That's one of the highest of the weekend. 70% chance to win, and that is because of how bad Tua looked. I mean, he looked bad, folks. He looked really, really bad, really, really bad, to the point where they have to question whether this dude can even play. I mean, I'm not even kidding. Like, it was horrible. They're going to be without the running backs too. Myles Gaskin's out as well. It's going to be Jordan Howard, not exactly elite. You got Arizona looking pretty healthy for the most part, still without the running back. But pretty healthy for the most part, and should be able to actually play well in this game. I expect the matchups to definitely favor the Cardinals. The overall two. It's really going to come down to whether Miami's defense can kind of stay in this game. You're looking at a much, much better offense. Yards per play. You keep going down. We have an identical ranking. However, I probably could be closer to 18 or 20 just because of Tua. And I do expect time of possession actually to favor. Like, why does that do that? Like, I literally click one button and it's got to fucking change the number. Like, that's so stupid. Excel, you're so dumb. Why are you so dumb? Okay. Yeah, and you really look at the numbers, they do not. Third down is so bad. So bad for the Dolphins, dude. 24% the last three, dude. They are not staying on the field. Okay, actually, I really like the Cardinals even more, folks. That is a scary stat. They are not going to be able to stay on the field. They are going to get owned in time of possession in this game to a team that doesn't own time of possession. That's kind of scary. They're also, looks like, your Cardinals are way better in red zone. Cardinals have a better red zone defense. They actually have, both teams are extremely good on third down defense, which definitely, so that favors the Cardinals even more, dude. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I really like the Cardinals in this matchup, and even the only thing that really is a little scary is right here. They do match up really well. Like, statistically, they're very, very similar teams. But some of those numbers are a little bit skewed because of Ryan Fitzpatrick playing and not Tua. Tua has to play a great game if they're going to win this game. I'm not even kidding. Like, Cardinals, they're a little overrated in a lot of ways, but statistically, they match up really, really, really well with the Dolphins. So I actually really like the Cardinals. I had this. This is actually an intriguing game, so I'm going to put this as a plus because that is actually, I really like the Cardinals. I know a lot of people that also really like the Cardinals too. So like that is definitely a bet to take a look at, folks. And then we got to look at the final numbers. We have the Steelers, Cowboys. Don't have a lot of time. I don't want to waste a lot of time on these three games because two of them are just absolute trash. Let's be honest, folks. Steelers are beating the Cowboys. Cowboys are atrocious. Cowboys are starting Garrett Gilbert. If you can get the Steelers for under a touchdown, get it. as teaser that awesome, right? Or even 7.5. I still like them. Obviously money line. But the Steelers plus 14 too potentially could be in play. Kind of some things to look at there, but yeah, I don't see any way that the Cowboys win this game, let alone do anything offensively. Like, I don't know how they do anything outside of Lulu not being there. That could hurt them a little bit. But like overall, they're a pretty healthy team. Like the statistics just it's horrendous. We can do a quick look, right? So obviously it's in a dome, 3.5 yards per play. Like seriously, 3.5. Like that's what they've been averaging the last three, and really it's probably like 2.5. Like they're so bad. They're gonna get owned. Last three, they've actually had a decent time of possession, but I don't expect that to be in this game. Minus 27 on the differential for the matchup, which is kind of crazy. The 49-50 numbers. So yeah, they literally can't convert on third down. They're at 30% on third down. They red zone numbers drastic. 16% in the red zone last three games. Gosh, the Cowboys are so bad offensively. Oh my God, those are some so horrendous numbers. Shockingly, they've actually played really well on third down on defensively. Right? Oh no, that's the Steelers. No, they've been playing horrible. 70% third down. Yeah, so they're just not gonna be able to get off the field in third down either. Yards obviously 170.9. They literally give up 170 yards a freaking game on the ground. So obviously that's a big factor. Home passing, that's so skewed because of Dak Prescott. A lot of those stats are kind of skewed just in general. But look at that, minus 10.2 to 9.8. I mean, they literally have as like a freaking 3-touchdown win for the Steelers. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, obviously I don't want to spend any more time on that game. That's just a atrocious football game. And this is the best game of the weekend, Saints Bucks. Actually, I'm gonna quickly. Yeah, so we got Saints Bucks. We do lean Bucks here. Hold on, I think I need to mention a couple nuggets. Hold on one sec. Yeah, Steelers, a couple things real quick. Steelers are 5-0 against the spread their last 5 games. Cowboys have never covered a double-digit spread at home. This is their third attempt. This will be their third attempt. And the Cowboys have not covered a single spread all year. So those are all factors also leaning toward the Steelers as well. So yeah, just some other stuff to just kind of keep in mind as well. So we have, we like the Bucks money line, Bucks 113 and Saints teaser 10.5. Just because right here, like these teams, they always play one possession games. I would be utterly shocked if one team took a big lead over the other. Just how they play, it's literally for like the last 20 years, they've been playing so many one possession games, even when Tampa wasn't good. It's just kind of the way both these kind of teams match up. Just want to go over real quick the injuries. Don't have a lot of time. Jeez. Okay, this is really being annoying right now. Yeah. Saints are actually pretty healthy. It looks like Michael Thomas is coming back. Tampa Bay as well. Chris Godwin looks like he's not going to play. Oh no, he does expect them to play. Oh, and if they have Chris Godwin, that could be a pretty good return for them. They've actually been playing really good lately as well, and the statistics will bear that out. So let's just take a look at those numbers real quick. Obviously, they rated as 65%, which is really kind of crazy. Obviously, we did if you go back to our Week 1 breakdown, when we broke down this game, we thought one of the biggest factors in this game was going to be the offensive line for Tampa Bay, but it actually played quite well overall, and they were still kind of figuring things out. That's one of the reasons why we did like the Saints to win that game, whereas we do like the Bucks to win this particular game, just because of that. Just because of the way the Bucks have actually been playing lately in comparison. Looking obviously at the third down percentage, favors the Saints just slightly. The red zone efficiency favors the Bucks quite significantly. Significantly, I would say, not quite significantly. The red zone defense for the Saints is horrendous, and for the Bucks is not good either. Honestly, these teams, this is going to be a high-scoring game. Third down efficiency, however, maybe not. I mean, third down efficiency, that's one of the better numbers you'll see. 38% for the Bucks, compared to 46, which is middle of the pack. So like, Saints third down, they should be able to somewhat get off the field, but the Bucks, man, the Saints might be able to get off the Bucks might be able to get off the field on the Saints quite often. I wouldn't be surprised if it's pretty close to that 40% number then. Interesting looking at the stats. I mean, these teams are very similar. I think the biggest difference, rush defense, that's scary. Both these teams really stop the run well, meaning they're going to have to do it through the air. And they're not insanely great at pass defense, but they're still both really good at pass defense. So that is very, very scary to think about. When you look at the matchup, though, like that's big. 1.3, 10.3. Saints have just not been separating from teams. They've been winning closer games. They've not played all that great all season. You know, as you can kind of see, guys, the numbers definitely bear out that the Bucks should win the game. That 4.5 number is a little bit scary to me. You know, I don't feel comfortable betting that. I would do Bucks money line. I would do Bucks 1-13. I would do Saints 10.5. I feel really pretty good about that game. And honestly, I'm going to put this as a plus. This is something to take a look at. This is definitely a game to take a look at. I actually really do like the Bucks on the money line. Because I do expect the Bucks to win the game. And even this 1-13, just because of, I really like that card for this particular game. It could really benefit getting those extra odds if you put it on, like, you know, maybe that one with maybe the Raiders 1-13 and Vikings that one's a little scary to me because the Vikings might blow them out. Texans might blow them out too. Yeah, those two for sure. Maybe Cardinals 1-13, but the Cardinals I actually think might blow them out too. So that's a little bit scary as well. This one too could be really interesting. So last game, we're pretty much one of the worst games ever. You got the worst football team in the league in the New York Jets, and I just want to do quickly on the injuries. So you have the Jets are really hurting. Oh yeah, by the way, Sam Darnold's not playing. Yeah, we even more bullish on the Patriots. They're actually missing quite a few people. Quinn Williams is doubtful. Yeah, wow, the Jets might get annihilated in this game, folks. Holy cow, that line's probably moved already. Here's the thing. Patriots are hurting bad. No Stephon Gilmore. Duggar might not play. Man, no Keel Harry. Damien Harris might not play. You got Shaq Mason, Tooney, Isaiah Wynn, C. Jackson. There's some major questions. I wonder if these are COVID protocols or something. Yeah, so a lot of questions on both sides. That's why this is a scary game to pick just because of that. You know, I almost want to wait till Monday to really kind of see where the teams lie. Going at that 8.5, number, you know, maybe 2.5. 2.5 would be all right. Jets are just so bad. I mean, look at this team. 3.8 yards per play. Like, really? You're that bad? 3.8? That's with Darnold, dude. Neither of these teams can control the clock. Patriots really struggling, which is kind of crazy, but that's because of their third down numbers. Like, look at these third down numbers. 16%, 35%. That's so bad. Neither team can convert on third down. Neither team can convert. Oh, my God. The Jets are the worst red zone team ever. The red zone defense has actually been pretty good for the Jets, you'd say, right? But that has more to do with, like, teams haven't. That's actually pretty good. They actually have a pretty good red zone defense, and they actually have a pretty good third down defense. No wonder teams haven't really been just destroying them. It's because their defense is keeping them in the game. They're coming up clutch in the red zone, and they're coming up clutch on third down. Like, that's why they're not getting absolutely annihilated in games. So that could actually happen again in this game too. Because Patriots obviously aren't good on either of those situations either. So, I do expect them to be able to run the ball, though. I mean, you're talking a team that gives up 100 and away. Wait a second, that's the Patriots. Patriots give up 140 on the. Wow, that's so bad. How did the Patriots give up 140 yards? That's so bad. Yeah, but they give up 290 yards passing a game. Yikes. And then obviously look at the number, minus 18. Like, seriously, minus 18 point differential, minus 4.5 is not good either. But seriously, minus 18. I mean, that's literally like a 16-point win, right? 2 touchdown win potentially for Patriots is, that's probably about right, honestly. That's why I don't have any money on the Jets. There's no way I could put money on the Jets. So that's kind of where we lie. Hopefully you guys got your picks out for the Week 9 games, and I want to just quickly reiterate where we are, what we like. We really like the Seahawks. Really like the Seahawks this week. I would say both these bets are definitely very viable, even the teaser. Really like the Texans this week. Texans, if you can get it for 6.5, awesome. It might be at 7 in some places. Got it -1 on the teaser. Obviously, I like the Chiefs to win the game, but this is a little bit of a scary game, and obviously, the statistics really bore that out. Really like the Vikings. Really like the Vikings this week. I'll probably be doing this bet and this bet. Titans, this is a little bit more of a scary game. At first look, you really expect the Titans to win, but there's something about this game that just is very scary. This 1-13, if you are going to take the Titans, very viable bet. They don't win by more than 2 touchdowns ever. So them beating the Bears by more than 2 touchdowns, don't see that. That's a team that keeps almost all games close just because of their defense. Barring, Nick Foles having like 3 turnovers or something, that game should be very close. This is basically one of the worst games as well. So it's a stay away. But if you can get a teaser for more than a touchdown, that could be on like a large teaser card worth taking a look at if you're trying to do large teaser cards. And then obviously we do like the Raiders, but not as much after looking at the stats. So this one has moved to just, maybe you get the Raiders plus a touchdown. I really like that. This one could be viable too. Raiders 1-13. They don't blow anybody out really. And neither do the Chargers. They're in pretty much every game. So if they do win that game, I do expect it to be within the 2 touchdown range as well. This one could be a little bit more of a blowout actually. I do really like the Cardinals on the money line. That's probably one of my favorite bets around too. That's definitely one to take a look out with Tua. Being a big question though, that's definitely a higher risk game. The Steelers money line is really obviously the only super safe one. If you can get the Steelers for 6.5, bet that immediately. I have that early in the week. Unfortunately, that got bet up, so you probably didn't get a good line on this game that you really would have wanted to. You needed to bet this early in the week, unfortunately. And same here. No, this is pretty much stayed the same all week. There's a reason why I also still like the Saints teaser, because this game should be close. It should be within 2 touchdowns. But I do still lean toward the Bucks. Do like the Bucks to win this game. And then the final crap game of the weekend, the Patriots-Jets. How this is a Monday night game, I don't know. How they gave the Jets a Monday night game, I don't know. Patriots teaser -2.5 is probably my favorite of all that. I'm going to be pairing that as well with the Patriots. I got it like Patriots -0.5 point or -1 point or something like that early in the week. So just something to keep in mind. If you are able to make some bets early in the week, you can get some great lines. However, you are taking a higher risk in doing so. So definitely some things to keep in mind. I hope everybody has a great week 9 in the NFL, and good luck to all you. I will catch you guys next time. So thank you guys for watching NFL Kings Week 9 podcast, and good luck in all your bets for the Week 9 season and the rest of the season.